might be interested. It's time for another midweek update, and my guest today is Lance Ippolito. Lance, how are you doing today?
I am drinking coffee and eating donuts. Does life get much better?
Wow, that sounds like an amazing time. And you're trading, I understand.
Well, when you're in big trades like myself, and for some reason I bought Mattel calls, which was not the greatest idea ever today, and Harley Davidson calls, which we'll see how that plays out. But you need the donuts to get the sugar rush to make you feel good.
I see.
So you stay in the
And
trade.
so you're in Mattel and Harley Davidson. What's driving your interest in those names?
So Mattel has worked in the past pretty good, and today they're buying the October 12s in Mattel. This morning there were, let's see where we're at right now, actually. This morning there was about 24,000 of the October 12 calls bought around 45 to 55 cents. Now we're at 44,000 contracts have traded here in Mattel. So we're looking at about, pull up the stats, 16.9 times usual volume on Mattel calls. We also have some April next year puts being sold, which is pretty aggressive orders. So we shall see what Mattel has upcoming here. I think the catalyst, which is earnings, is at the end of October. So these calls don't even capture earnings. So very odd. I really want to see how many stick to open interest tomorrow out of the 44,000 to see if players have been getting in and out today or if they actually hold them.
Mm-hmm. Well, interesting. And so maybe it's a case of they know something you don't know. Is that possible?
Yeah, Mattel, maybe they have like an investor presentation, or maybe they report sales of toys because kids are staying home and buying the Star Wars Avenger toys, and that's the new thing. I remember last time they had management shakeup and the stock spiked pretty good. So yeah, we shall see. I wish I had a crystal ball.
Oh, I'll lend you mine.
Okay, thank you. $20 an hour, please.
Yeah, you bet. All right. So tell me, just because I'm curious, what is the process by which you scan the market to find trades that you'd be interested in?
Yeah, so out of, let's say, 3,000 stocks with that actively trade with options, I try to filter it to the largest unusual orders of institutional order flow throughout the day. So I'm usually looking at orders usually over that six-figure range that are opening orders, meaning they're brand new positions being put on, and then trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Maybe it's an investor conference, an earnings event, maybe same store sales, or in terms of cars, deliveries. Maybe it's an analyst upgrade or downgrade. So just trying to put those pieces of the puzzle together and names that I've traded well before, that have experience. Like, to give you an example, they were buying First Solar puts yesterday. First Solar rarely trades big option flow. It was about a 2,000 contracts, which is very large for First Solar. So we know that was an institution or a very large trader. After the close, they did an offering, a common stock offering, and the stock is now down. In the trading day, it is down 11%, or over $8 or so. So, that's a huge mover for First Solar. The October 67.5 puts that they bought yesterday for $1.80, when the stock was $10 higher, actually, those puts are already marking about $4+ here. Let's just confirm.
So, as is often the case, people who are privy to inside information often make their trades in the futures market because there's another layer of obfuscation as to their identity potentially. Is that an accurate assessment?
Right, because if you think about this, like the First Solar player, they were buying the October 67.5 puts. They bought them at 180. They're currently marking $6 actually. So that's over 3 times their money. They never actually have to own stock, right?
Right.
Because you're going in the options market. So they could be in and out within, they could be scaling out today, let's say, in smaller lots. And that's it. You move on to the next one.
Sure.
Nothing like ringing in the cash register overnight for 3 times your money and then
Oh,
not really having any stock position or tied to your,
yeah. Well, that's all you need is a little inside information and who you'd have to be a dummy not to make money.
right. I like that saying. You'd have to be a dummy not to make money.
I'm going to patent it. Okay,
There you go.
so that's interesting. What it sounds like you must have a Bloomberg terminal there to have that level of access.
I do not actually. I used to many years ago, and actually got in trouble for. That's another story with it. Apparently, you can't use TeamViewer with Bloomberg Terminal. But since now I am a retail trader, everyday average Joe, I just use a scanner that I helped develop with a team of programmers that runs
Uh-huh.
throughout the day, filtered to my liking. So I updated it pretty regularly. And out of, I would say, 1,000 orders a day or so, I try to narrow that down to about a couple dozen that really stick out here. So I continuously watch it throughout the day, and I'll even do an analysis after the closing bell. But yeah, it's good to have. It keeps me in detail of the markets, but also it can be very overwhelming because it's continuously scrolling throughout the day.
Right. So that's the value out of your service is you sort of separate the wheat from the chaff and look for the high impact trades that stand out to you.
Right, exactly. I try to eliminate any opinion or emotion I have in the market. So I have no bias on where the S&P is going. Really at any time. I don't even really look at the S&P that much. I just focus on individual names and sector rotation mostly.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. So, what is your preferred trading platform?
Uh, I use TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim or Toss. It does have option time and sales that you can put up on a chart, which I tend to like. But I do have to admit, I have no affiliation with them or anything. At times, it is just so slow and just so brutal to work with. I have a supercomputer with 8 monitors, and some days it's in the top 3 fastest PCs in the world, and some days it is just dreadful to trade on TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim. I've also used other platforms like Webull, Robinhood. They're free. I spend enough money in commissions to buy a nice Mercedes a year. I've used Schwab Interactive Brokers. They're all pretty good. I really can't say anything negative about those other 2 platforms. But TD, I've been with them so long. It's just, man, that
Right.
Schwab merger really ruined it.
Is that right? So, in your experience, which platform is reliably fastest?
I will say Interactive Brokers is I never used it for their charting platform, but it was a really solid system in terms of fills and routing orders and just overall account management. It was really solid. IB was,
Mhm.
and they don't get enough credit, especially if you're international. You're not here in the States or up in Canada. Interactive Brokers is usually very friendly for
Mhm.
international users.
Yes. Interesting. Okay, so what other sort of companies are getting your attention in terms of developing storms?
I actually like the healthcare names here and bios. I put some positions on in Merck, Pfizer, VXRT actually just yesterday, and it's up about 20% in the past 2 days, which is great.
Mhm.
Um, the healthcare bio space has been hot as we keep getting these kind of teasers for vaccines and vaccines upcoming. So I've been looking at these names quite aggressively, and even starting to somewhat consider airliners here.
Mm-hmm.
They're interesting. It's not like buying a tech stock that has gone up 50% off the March lows. If you do get a vaccine or some kind of positive news with the coronavirus, airliners have been beat down, and beat down for a while. So they can have, massive short squeezes. It won't be, uncommon to see these stocks up 10, 15% in a day if, there's some kind of positive catalyst.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so is the travel sector generally kind of getting a bit of interest as the well, I don't know how to describe it. It's just everybody's so fatigued with the whole coronavirus that it's like
Yeah.
we're just gonna force the reality we prefer onto the reality that is.
Yeah, when we say travel, like you think of names like Bookings or the old Priceline or Expedia, or even, I don't know, an MGM, a Melco, a Wynn Resorts. These names have actually, really besides Wynn, these names have actually bounced pretty aggressively off the March lows. So I don't really look or consider them. I kind of just toss them away from my watch list. I've actually more narrowed in on names like American Airliners, Alaskan Airliners, United Airliners, JetBlue. These names are still just very, very beat down, around that 50% level for where they were back in the start of 2020. So those are the names I've more aggressively looking at. And I don't know if travel will ever be back to where it was. But I think there's so much institutional holdings in these airliners that you will have money being put to work back into them. It's just timing. I could have said, hey, it's a great time in May to be in airliners, and you would be sitting in the same position with minimal return, if any, for months now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so then does the election approaching quickly have any effect on your trading at this point?
You're gonna get volatility, right? With every election season, you get that. And then obviously, if we have debates, you would have if so and so wins, the market would move with the especially the futures market would be moving with the debate. I I don't I don't think we're gonna have much in terms of what's a good way to put this, PC. I don't think we're gonna have much punching back and forth when it comes to election season. I think they'll be tamed a little bit. So I don't think we're gonna see crazy like Dow 1,000-point swings and such like that. It just nothing's really came out as a news point of view in the election already. It's still been coronavirus and the Fed. So yeah, like if Biden wins, what sector is going to be good? If Trump wins, what sector is going to be good? I don't think it's really that topic anymore like it was with previous elections, actually.
Okay, Lance, that's great. We'll leave it there for now and come back to you next week. Thanks very much for joining me today. Have a fantastic weekend.